Thank you very much, and I understand that perhaps there were some questions that should be entertained at this time.
Yes, I'd like to ask, I'm Linda Ammons, Way Television. I'd like to ask, what is this stuff that you use that you can't lose by?
I call it mind power. What I'm really about is self-awareness. My philosophy may be described as self-image psychology. And of course, I view the Bible as a book of psychology rather than a book of theology. And to quote one of my favorite passages, as a man thinks, so is he. Which means to me, as a man thinks of himself, so is he. And so we teach each individual to use his own mind to build an ideal self-image of what he wants to be, to do, and to have. And in building this ideal self-image in his mind, he can become that which he wishes to be.
I understand from using the self-awareness, one can gain monetary gains. Is this the main thrust of your evangelistic efforts?
I'm glad you mentioned money. I guess monetary is just one of those big, sophisticated academic ways of saying money. So I'll just say money. I have a very interesting definition also for money, and I've had the pleasure of speaking on this subject in New York City to some of the Wall Street people here lately, and I've gotten inquiries from people all over the nation about this. To me, money is the getting power of self-awareness. Money is not simply facts and figures, dollars and cents, but that which the self-awareness of the person gets. And if a person builds a prosperous and successful self-awareness or self-image within himself, this will lead him into the ways and means of getting money or whatever form of good that he wants.
Is this the ultimate goal?
Is what the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to teach the individual to be master of his own mind and affairs by manipulating his own self-image. So it's self-mastery that is ultimately my goal in teaching people.
Being poor or being without money or whatever is a condition of the mind.
It is. Everything is a condition of the mind. The idea comes first, and then the manifestation of that idea.
You urge your followers to contribute Bowling Green to your activities. In view of the fact that many of these followers are poor, do you feel any guilt in urging big contributions when the 12% rate of inflation is hitting hardest at the poor and those on fixed incomes?
You've probably introduced several issues there. I'll see if I can separate them and answer one by one. First of all, it is a general misconception that perhaps all of the people who support my ministry are poor. This is not true. We have people in all strata of society who support this ministry, and there is no difference in the way that this ministry receives its support than any of the other churches and religious organizations. The next thing I'd like to answer is about the poor giving. I very seldom use the word magic, but I'm going to use it very carefully here. I have discovered in my own life that there is something magic about changing a person's psychology to that of a giver. And once you can change a person's psychology to being a giver, something happens. He opens the way so that good flows into his own life in a better way. And so one of the first things that I try to do with, let's say, the so-called poor people or people who need more supply in any form is to give them a giving psychology. And I've seen this giving psychology work in the lives of people in the most desperate straits and conditions. And first of all, I'm an example. This is another thing that I'd like to have the privilege to say. Most people say to me, Reverend Ike, you can talk about people prospering and succeeding because you are prosperous and successful. Let me remind you that I was born and raised in South Carolina, in a little rural town at the very height of the segregated area. My parents were separated. I came from a so-called broken home. My mother taught 7 grades in one room. She and I walked to school and back daily 4 miles. So when you talk about poverty, I came out of that. I know what it's all about. And it was really learning how to give that helped me to break the poverty cycle.
Do you see yourself as God?
I teach everyone that God lives in me, through me, and as me. And I say that only in the first person because I teach everyone to say that in the first person. I do not believe that any person has any more God than the next person.
You were billed as the preacher that had the second largest following. Who's the first, and how do your philosophies compare with yours?
Well, first of all, I'd like to analyze a word, and I told my PR department the other day to be very careful in using this word, the word followers. I'd like to make it clear that I am not personally trying to gather followers unto myself. I'm not trying to build a denomination or a personality cult. It has never been my purpose, and it is not my purpose now, to herd the masses into the folds of organized religion. And here again, this is the great difference between my type of evangelism and anybody else's type of evangelism. I'm not interested in herding the masses into the folds of organized religion. I'm interested in bringing the individual to an awareness of his own indwelling divinity.
How did you get a name like Ikrin Kota?
Ikrin Kota in Old Dutch is acorn carrier, which proves that mighty oaks from little acorns grow. Thank you.